Oh, I decided to play a little music today. StreamYard now has like these fun little. So, hey, we're learning as we go, learning as we grow, learning to grow, right? All right, let's turn the music up. Welcome. I am Angela, and thank you so much for being here, whether you watch this live or whether you watch this on replay. I am here to be your guide on your journey of well being for living well today, right here and now, where our power is one step at a time. Put one foot in front of the other, friends. That's the world we live in. But there are certain things that bring us certainty. And we're going to talk about some of those certainties today around your well being as you stand in the center of the storm. Whether you own a large company or whether you're just getting started, whether you're somewhere in between, this show specifically today is for you. But certainly, if you work in the world, you work for or with someone, you're gonna glean some helpful insights as well, I hope. So we're all people, regardless of the size of our business, the size of our family, whether we have children, don't have children, work virtually and remotely, or work with large teams, or are in leadership, or just starting out as an entrepreneur or artist. All of the things that we talk about as part of Living Well Today and the Harmony Method, which is a core tool that I implement with friends and family and clients and myself. I was the I was the laboratory. I continue to be, right? Because learning and well-being is a lifelong path that I am following more and more. And this time with you and this time sharing deepens that practice for me because it is a practice. It is a practice. So I sent out an email earlier today because I had a really wonderful challenge posed to me. And that was okay, but this whole secret to happiness stuff and the reason that it's important to learn about happiness for employees, that sounds all great. But the bottom line is, especially if I'm going to invest time, energy, effort, all of that, is that I need to know some facts. Like, I need to understand the outcomes, the implications of it all. So anyone who knows me, I tend to lead with principles and feelings and the way that we connect with our words and thoughts. But I realize that facts and stats matter to a lot of people, and especially the business owner who's banking on growth, making decisions every day with what's in front of them as to do I tack left, do I tack right? Do I stay straight ahead? Do I turn around and go back a little bit? There's a great deal of uncertainty for all of us in the world right now. So, shearing up from the inside out is vitally important. Leadership and well being is an inside job. And while we'll talk about environment and the soup that you swim in every day definitely has power, there are ways to mitigate that. And while that environment is true, the environment inside of you, inside your body, your head, your heart, is where it all begins. And that's why when we talk about any of the tools and resources and ideas of how to bring well-being to life inside an organization, engagement for keeping it on everybody's radar screen, because what is not paid attention to doesn't grow. So you have to mindfully pay attention and create an environment that keeps it ever present for your employees. So all of these tools matter and keep it ever present. But whether you implement a midday yoga class or meditation minutes or mindful breathing, or you take your team on a nature walk, all of which are beautiful. And we're going to talk about those tips and ideas today. If we don't go deeper to the root cause of someone's stress, anxiety, lack of focus, lack of resilience, their lack of willingness to adapt, to take vital coaching that is coming from you, from their peers, if we're not willing to peel that back, all those other things, do they still help? Of course they do. But that lack of self-awareness remains unless it's got a light shining on it. So the harmony method and some of the things that we talk about today, it's like a great pairing, great food and wine. It's yes, all those tools deepen the practice and give form to the practice. The practice itself is an inside job. So you got to have that too, yin and yang, day and night, sun and moon. They work together. So let's talk about what that looks like. Okay, so I mentioned the facts and the statistics. So if you're a small business owner, you're budgeting more than ever. You're budgeting like families are budgeting. You're parsing out your resources. You're trying to determine, well, what's going to grow the company and make profit so that I can continue to help these employees as well as clients thrive and my own family thrive. Because I understand, first things first, you have to take care of yourself. And you've got the greatest amount on the line. You're taking the biggest risk. You're the one that has the courage to do good things and to create things and connect people with the products and services that you provide. You should be rewarded for that bravery and for that tenacity and commitment and talents, all of those things. So my promise to you is that as Charles Schwab says, that the best way, the finest way to realize the most potential in a person and their capabilities is to give them encouragement and appreciation. So the A of the harmony method is appreciation. We'll talk about that a little bit today. But let's talk about the stats and the facts. And I have some helpful, because I don't memorize the facts. They don't help me in that way. So I'm going to reference my notes here. When we look at, according to Gallup, here are some why team well-being matters. According to Gallup, businesses with highly engaged employees have 21% higher profitability. A Harvard Business Review study found that happy employees are 31% more productive. When you look at great case studies of Zappos and the happiness culture, the happiness team, the happiness method at work, a quote here from Richard Branson: clients do not come first, employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they'll take care of the clients. So do you think online reputation and online management and what social media and your online reviews on Google and Facebook and Yelp and TripAdvisor and whatever industry you may be in, Avo if you're a lawyer, do you think that online reputation plays a more and more important role every day in customers and clients patients wanting to do business with you? Of course it does. That's social proof that you're keeping your word to your customers and patients and clients. So we know for sure that if your employees are happier, they'll do a better job making sure that your clients and customers are happier. An unhappy employee doesn't have any happiness to give, right? And that makes sense, yeah? There are numerous companies, Aetna, companies who've put this program in place that have realized immense, immense progress in client retention, reduction in healthcare costs. A Harvard University study found that for every dollar spent on wellness programs, medical costs fall by about $3.27, and absenteeism costs fall by $2.73. According to the American Psychological Association, employees who feel valued by their employer are 60% more likely to report they're motivated to do their best for their employer. Do you think that matters? Do you think that affects your bottom line? When an employee fully shows up and gives it their all versus 30% of their all? A Society for Human Resource Management, SHRM study, found that companies that invest in employee wellness programs experience 28% less employee turnover. Are you having issues with employee retention, employee turnover, employee lack of focus, creativity drain? Most of the ideas are just coming from you and a couple of the leaders. Here's an interesting, now Johnson & Johnson obviously sells a lot of quote unquote wellness products. We don't know how well they all are, but they do have wellness program in place called Live for Life. And it includes health risk assessments, fitness programs, and mental health programs. The company claims that over the last 3 decades, its wellness programs have saved it $250 million in healthcare costs, with a return on investment of $2.71 for every dollar spent. Now, you might be thinking, well, those are big companies. We're all human. They're humans. I guarantee you, I don't care if they're a $10 billion company and you're a $2 million company. Their humans are the same as your humans, and they respond and react and evolve and grow or not, the same as everywhere else. So I dealt like the first 2/3 of my professional career in branding and storytelling, solely in that, in marketing and advertising. And I can tell you that a lot of companies for the longest time thought, if I'm not a big company, I cannot brand. That's not true. I have a company called CH Insurance that I've worked with since 2011 and developed their brand In Your Corner, the brand promise, their boost program for group benefits, etc. And their 50 under 50, worked hand in hand with them on all of the storytelling and the development of those concepts and how to connect with humans, both their employees as well as their clients and their carrier partners. And they have branded those programs. They branded themselves, and they're a small company, and they invest a fraction on marketing and advertising that big large companies do. Why can they do that? Well, why they must do that? First of all, because they're a much smaller company than Aetna, right? Or Progressive Insurance or Geico or Aflac. And yet, in the markets that they serve, they're top of mind. And not only top of mind, they're well known, they're also liked best. So all of those things feed into demonstrating that you can make a difference. You can have an impact, first in your own life, by the way, and in the lives of your employees for their well-being. And as you do that, everything grows, everything prospers. It's like putting fertilizer in your garden. What happens? Intense blooms. That's what happens. So, all right, well, let me ask you a few questions. So, in the harmony method, we practice the H of the harmony method, which is the thematic through everything that I do with my group wellness programs, and group benefits and group wellness programs with different sized organizations. They're the same principles as if I'm working one-on-one with someone, although you have to realize that there are dynamics at play in a work culture, in a team culture, in a leadership culture that maybe, of course, are not there necessarily with one-on-one. But it still requires understanding the age of harmony, and that is here and now, presence. It's mindfulness. And mindfulness is being wholly in touch with the present moment, your senses, the sights, the sounds, the tastes, how you feel in your body, and doing a self check on your stress. And it's one of the first things that we do is let it's all private, of course, but through the program, and it's online, it's virtual, digital, through the program, they do a benchmark. They benchmark what your current stress level is based on some lifestyle questions and things like that. How they react when someone gives them a critique, um, how they respond to um, a deadline that's pushed forward or a deadline that's missed or whatever it might be. But your power is in the here and now. So let me ask you, how often do you think your employees are thinking about the task list of what they've got to do when they get home tonight? Or thinking about the elderly parent that they're taking care of that's failing fast? The stresses of life pull us out of the present moment. The stresses with money in particular, that's why I call it the harmony method, because money is a big stressor. Is it a stressor for you at times for your small business as a business owner? Now, if you say no, I'm not sure I would believe you. So we get pulled out of it. That's the nature of things. It's the nature of life. Because one of the core tenets of life, of the harmony method, and everything we talk about every week for living well today, is that life happens. And there are certain things, and life happens in a good way too, not just the challenges. But the nature of things is that you cannot control the world. You cannot control world leaders. You cannot control what happens in a community 1,000 miles away. You do have some control within your community. You do have some control within your daily experience, within your home, the culture at work, the things that are at arm's length and inside of you, and what you will be amazed with. I promise. What you will be amazed with is the ripple effects that it has across time and across communities. Because it's how do you think if you have some historic little towns around you, perhaps, or that you've visited that have been revitalized, that at one point were decimated with poverty or overgrown, whatever, just not being tended to. And a couple of leaders, someone in charge, decided to take advantage of some historic renovation and historic restoration grants that the government was offering. And they started to put time and effort and energy into planning and putting care and time and attention into the things that bolster and help bloom a community. Well, one community does it, and another community sees that this one down the road did it. We can do it too. Or you happen to sit on a town board, or you happen to be involved some way, or want to be involved in a planning committee or your historic preservation society, whatever it might be, or starting a community garden. What do? You look to models, you look to other people who've gone before you, and so that you can shrink that learning curve, right? So, through my work with Harvard Medical, my work with the Institute of Mindfulness, my work in understanding psychotherapy and positive psychology, all of that, I've condensed that learning to give it to you, along with life direct experience, by the way, which I still think is the finest teacher of all. Yeah. Because you can read all the business books, right? You could maybe even go to Harvard Business School. Is it the same when you get immersed into starting the business and dealing with hiring and letting people go and managing teams and managing customer service? And is it the same? You can read a book about it, right? Doing it's altogether different. Doing it is what creates muscle memory. Doing it is what creates failure and a learning curve for yourself, right? So everything, just making sure, yeah. I mean, I'm making sure people aren't having an issue getting in. Um, and by the way, I say that this show is live, and on some platforms, I just don't have the tech savvy to get it live at the time. So I have to go back in once the show is done, and then uh, reset the audience. Hey, I'm learning. It is what it is. So most people watch this in replay anyway, so it's okay, right? Um, the point being is that that learning curve, taking those things and distilling it down, is what the Harmony Method and everything that I am becoming, everything that I teach and share with teams and with you right here and now, it's based on both art and science. Learning, reading, participating, as well as direct experience. So any video I do that's within the course, any exercise I propose, I've done it or am doing it. And while any advice or guidance that I offer is never a substitute for your medical professionals, the counselors, therapists, and doctors, and whomever you may seek counsel from, everything that I share, I I offer that has worked or is working for me. And I'm sharing these other stats from other companies to promise you that as you learn this for yourself, your team, your customers get better, your community gets better, your relationships are stronger and more meaningful, because we talk about how well-being, what is well-being? What is well-being? Think of people sometimes just think of, well, it's if I, keep my cholesterol and blood pressure in check, and I'm not overweight, and that's true. That's part of it. Your nutrition and your health, and the nutrition piece of this has been the last piece for me that I'm really exploring, and my own learning and cultivating a relationship with my own body and learning my own constitution, how my energy runs throughout the day. You think those things are important to well-being? Absolutely. Your self-talk, your mindset, you think that that's important? The attitudes that, I mean, I've been being told it since I was a little kid, adjust your attitude or reframe your thinking on that, Angela. And we have to, as business owners, we're being required to evolve in all sorts of ways, right? But here's the benefit beyond how technology evolves your business, which is all important, and innovation. Here's the benefit that well-being gives you in spades over all the other innovations you can implement for you and your business. It gives you happiness and joy along the way to prospering. It's to prospering. So you started your business because you loved something. And maybe it was just a love of money. And you saw an opportunity in the market and you wanted to create prosperity for you and your family. Don't you want to love it more and soak up all the juices of it even better and deeper for longer? Do you want to be how maybe for some of us We have seen certain things, paranoia and dementia and different things that set in with our elderly parents or grandparents, and a long tail of decline. Is that really, if you really want to be vibrant and vital and useful and engaged and engaging and curious all the days of your life? And you can do that. So, the secrets of happiness, small business owners. First of all, smile. Like there's all this, Harvard Medical even has documented the smile. And I know you've seen this before, but the actual use of the muscles that it requires to smile, even if you're not happy, fake it till you make it kind of thing. This right here signals something to your brain that says release oxytocin. Go like this, smile, even if you're so grumpy, or if you're, fought an hour of traffic getting into work this morning, or you had a huge argument with your boss, or you've got overwhelmed from a major project or submission or RFP that's coming up, or you've got this negotiation you're dreading. Smile right here, right now with me, friend. Do it. And that small action releases oxytocin in your brain and tells your heart, oh, something's shifting here. So, what's a practical tool that you can do as a business owner? You can introduce bright spots, smile spots. Make a fun thing within your office or virtually where say, okay, it's smile spot time. Or you're standing on a smile spot. What does that mean? So you begin to, as you do it for yourself, you begin to manifest that outside of you in your workplace and space for your employees to enjoy it. And you codify it, you put form to it, and you make it fun. Fun, right? Folks are saying, I don't understand how to engage with the Gen Z and the Gen Y and the millennials. Get into your heart, drop out of your head and into your heart. I'm going to give you a little bit of head and heart here today. But dropping into your heart is the easiest way to connect with a millennial. Because while many of them may not consciously register it, they're more connected to their heart than ever. And that's why they find dissatisfaction so quickly and so easily in something. And why they, in some cases, have set stronger boundaries and understanding what they want and why they're doing it, and why it matters. Because they want a quality of life. And they won't tolerate maybe the unhappiness that they've witnessed around them growing up. Okay? So that's really all that is. And it's a good thing. They're great teachers for us. In the Gen X and the boomers, they're great teachers for us. At the same time, they may lack in resilience. But you, as a Gen X, you are kings and queens of resilience. So we have these wonderful things that we can exchange, and recognizing that balance, that harmony that can be so beautiful while challenging to realize at first. Once you have the tool belt and you got the tools in your tool belt and the willingness to learn, the willingness to open, the willingness to say, what if? Gotta have that. You don't have the willingness to say, what if? I'm guessing you're not in this video with me anyway, or show with me anyway. Okay, so the next one of appreciation. Do you feel like your employees appreciate some of the things that the work offers them? Do you think they fully appreciate and understand and actively express gratitude to you, to any mentoring that you try to offer them? Do they openly, readily express that gratitude and appreciation? And what if they did? What if they could? And what if you could learn to do that more and more with them and for them? So, what could you do? You could do digital detoxes in your office where you say, you know what? Step away from the computer, step away from your cell phone. I want to share with you all the things that I appreciate about the work that you're doing and create a gratitude chart, a whiteboard on the wall where before at the end of the day, every day, or a virtual one in your portal, in your blog that you may share, internally with your team, or do a collective sharing once a week of the bright spots or of I'm grateful for Janice picking this up for me to finish for me because I had to leave to get my daughter to a doctor's appointment. um, I appreciate this the kind words that this customer shared for me when I was having a bad day, and it lifted me up, right? Whatever it might be, have an appreciation chart or a gratitude chart. Chart your gratitude, chart your appreciation, codify it, make it important. It matters. It matters. Okay. The R of harmony, receiving. Do some of your employees have a tough time receiving a critiquing, receiving input? Um, when they get uh, too many tasks at once, do they immediately go into overwhelm and anxiety, and they're flitting, their lack of focus, right? They're all over the board. They can't mm, zone in and focus. Okay. Receive, the ability to receive input and receive learning is vital for the world we live in right now. And we haven't always been there. We always, many of us have not been open to receiving critiquing, or are sensitized or sensitive because we're stressed in other areas. So when a customer has a problem, or a coworker has a challenge or a question, the other coworker flies off the handle or reacts. They don't have the ability to create space between the action and the reaction, right? Does that sound familiar? Maybe it sounds familiar for you. This one was something I worked on for a long time for myself. And it isn't, though, by the way, with all of this, isn't as though it's one fell swoop and it's done. Oh, I went through the harmony method. Oh, I practiced receiving, and I did my appreciation exercise this week. I got this. This is a lifelong journey, just like bettering your golf game is a lifelong journey, right? You could go and have an amazing shot off the tee and then flub it the rest of the way. You could have a great round on the course, and the very next time out, you're shanking it all over the place, right? So that's learning. That's mastery. Welcome to mastery. Welcome to the human race, right? So the harmony method, like all things, and well-being at work and happy employees, it's mastery. It's a process. But these tools help you promise, promise, promise. My absolute promise to you. Um, Mirroring. Let me ask you, have you ever studied as a business owner how important it is to mirror your customer or employee, to match them where they're at? Their body language. Are they closed down? Are they open? Are they fast paced? Are they very slow and calm, or very just a little bit monotone, even energy, doesn't change, not a lot of expression? right? So if you learn Sales 101, you learn that mirroring is all important. This level of mirroring in the harmony method goes a little bit deeper, goes a lot deeper, really. And what we learn through it is we learn how stories connect people and how the story that's unfolding in front of us, it can inform us in new ways. And learning how to see it for what it is can get us a long way in poof, it just resolving itself or the knot untangling very quickly between a particular team. Or let's say you're going through an acquisition, or you're looking to launch a new location, or you're going through a big change, a whole new website, the way it works, and your customer interface and your sales management system, all of that. Maybe you're going through a big software upgrade. It's change. People don't like change. Few people thrive on it. Most people don't like it. So learn this through Harvard as well, that there's something called the J curve. And the J curve is when you have people who no matter what you did ahead of time, you thought you covered all the bases, you roll out the new program, and then you get this, they go down in what is called the valley of doom. I don't understand why we weren't consulted more. Why did we need this in the first place? This makes my job even harder. How much more can they ask of us? We just got the new program implemented. Now we're implementing another one. Any of this stuff sound familiar? And the J curve is eventually those folks, they may even, pull other people into their camp, and the little campfire has a way of, fanning into a big one because of a couple of cheerleaders, and not in a positive way. um, so bringing them out of that curve, though, and into adoption and adaptation, bringing that out of that curve is what mirroring and some of these other aspects are about. It's going to happen. It's unavoidable. That's DNA. But you can, as a leader and as an owner, you can take steps to help them come out of it faster. And here's another promise to you, is that when you have these resilience building, mindful building, filling up your happy cup building, people have more to pull from. They've got happiness resources to pull from. When they're operating down here, because not a whole lot of happiness is sitting inside that reserve, when they're operating at low reserves due to stress, predominantly 90% of it, stress from money, stress from family, stress relationships, stress in their job. Maybe they can't admit to you they don't know how to do this aspect of their job. They're afraid, they're operating out of fear, whatever it might be. If they don't have reserves to go to, they're the ones who get out in the Pied Piper in front of the parade when a big change comes, because they got nothing to give. They got nowhere to go except fear and lack, right? So as an owner, you can fortify yourself first, because it's always about that. You gotta have your own happiness reserves. You got to be able to walk in alignment with that and walk your truth. Because employees, here's a promise, employees can sniff it out if it's inauthentic. You're asking me to go through the harmony method. You're asking me to take my digital detoxes, and I see your face buried all the time. I don't see that happening. The way you reacted at that person over there, right? Or a customer issue, or an order didn't come in, or something didn't happen, or the website is down, or how you are the model, friend. As the owner, you are the model, and they're looking to you. You set the pace, you set the tone, you set the vibe, you set the level of happiness or lack thereof, you set the level of stress. Now, what your employees add to that, that's something else. So you can control yourself, and you can put tools and bolster your environment to create a soup of joy and cooperation rather than toxicity or fear or discontent, dissatisfaction. You can help control that in many ways. So the O is ownership and accountability. The N is nature. So let me give you an example of nature. I just made this recommendation, and nature is always my favorite topic. If you look at any of my social media profiles, you'll see flowers, flowers, flowers everywhere. Nature, nature, garden, garden, everywhere. It's the laboratory that is the most loving and nurturing for us. Our home is also, if the home is a space and place of content and beauty, however you see beauty, um, and it's a nurturing home space and an organized home space, and that can cultivate great ease within you. Most times, nature is the place to do that. Even if I asked you to close your eyes for 5 seconds right now and imagine your camp at the lake or seeing the sunset or sunrise or having a bonfire or going on a walk in the woods, you can instantly start to feel your body relax. That's how quick that function of imagination is for you. So nature, you could say, I wrote this down, it's time for our nature walk. It's time for our nature session, and plan those into the work week or work month, or encourage them day to day with your employees and encourage them to share the different types of things that fuel them and enervate them and re-energize them. Also, plan a team outing. A lot of folks love golf and they take their team out and are involved with outings and things like that, and that's great. But when you're on a nature walk in a park, there's not usually competition going on, which sometimes there can be some joshing and some competition on the golf course. When you take the team to the zoo, maybe something they haven't done since their kids were little or that they were kids, maybe even, and just simply reconnect, tell them the only thing I want you using your cell phone for the next hour is noticing the little things on our walk today and taking a picture of them. Have them engaged in that way. Nature sessions. Another example of the next one, E, enough. Enough time, enough money, enough is to work with them on having an exercise, and it's within the harmony method of stretching time. Let's say you've got a deadline, you've got to be somewhere, right? And it's really important. Just have them do a meditation minute and get quiet, pay attention to their breathing, and just say, hey, stretch it, make it last. Just breathe into it. Take a couple deep breaths, take a meditation minute, and I want you to really feel it like you got all the time in the world. And you got 5 minutes to do it. Now, I just told you in 3 seconds could release and relax by thinking of that morning coffee on the dock at your lake house, right? So they can do it too. And I use the example in last week's show of how in just a matter of minutes, you can take your blood pressure down significantly by going to that place and space in your memory bank. Again, it's happiness is learned. People make an assumption that I should just be happy. I'm alive. I should just be happy. Why aren't I happy? Because it's a muscle like everything else. And you have to feed it and strengthen it, encourage it and appreciate it. Just like if you were going to the gym. Okay. And the final letter, and I know we're going over today. Sorry, I said everybody, I try to stick to the 30 minutes and I've been better and better at it, but today's a little longer. The Y of the harmony method is yield, surrender, yield. And sometimes business owners tend to think that that means, oh, I'm not surrendering to the competition. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you didn't learn to yield when you took driver safety ed, if you didn't learn to yield, you'd be dead by now, right? So yielding is in the face of that employee meltdown. Have you ever seen one? Bet you have. In the face of a customer meltdown, have you ever seen one? I bet you have. In the face of that, you yield. Don't try to fix it. You yield. I hear you. Oh, I know I've had that happen to me too. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Right. Well, when did you first feel that happening? Um, is it how much do you think it's bothering you? Like if you had to put a number to it, right? You're yielding to where they are. And then if you've got another situation where you're in a situation where you're in a negotiation and this vendor that you're negotiating with will not yield. If you simply learn to drop the rope, there's no more tug of war. So I've learned this lesson the hard way. And it was the last lesson that I learned that I keep going deeper and deeper on, especially because of its power. And my mentor, Vicki King, such a blessing. She has shared with me the power of yielding when I didn't want to yield. I couldn't understand what she meant by I felt like it was giving in or giving up my dream or giving up something I so wanted. And she said, "Do you think you're going to win this?" And I said, "No, but I want to." And she said, "That's not good enough. You're not going to win it. You haven't been winning it for 9 months. You got to yield." But let me tell you, Angela, when you yield, what can happen? When you're down, and this is to you, small business owner, when you're down on your luck, when you're down on your knees because you've been punched in the gut, you can stand up. And my promise to you, and at least this is what I've experienced over and over now that I am aware of it, is that as your employees, as you and as your employees learn this all-important life-changing lesson and what it looks like and feels like and how to get there and all of that good stuff, life gets easier. And it opens doors that you couldn't have seen from a position of putting my shoulder into it, getting this done. When you let go and you step back and you release it and you release your attachment to that outcome, or you reframe what winning looks like. And Vicki used this example with me, so I'll share it with you. Did you ever see the movie Rocky? And everybody wants Rocky to win, and he's training, but he's watching these other training videos of his opponent, and he has a moment of realization, an awakening, and he realizes he can't win. I don't think I can and he has a heart-to-heart with Adrian. He says, I don't think I can win this, Adrian. I don't think I can win. But I'll tell you what I can do. I can go the distance. And in that moment, he reframed what winning for him meant and could look like. So you can either be right, get your shoulder into it, and exhaust yourself and still lose in the end, or you can be happy. You can giggle. You can be happy and you can walk away and you go, what the heck was that all about? Like, my need to be right, my need to win causes a lot of heartache and headache, raises your stress, and it causes a lot of physical damage in your heart and in your body, whether you realize it or not. Maybe until you realize it too late. So Happy employees, the secret to happy employees is starting with yourself, is to working with these elements that I talk about every week, bit by bit, and going easy on yourself and being gentle with yourself, but being open and understanding that, just like I opened this up with what Charles Schwab said, the finest way to get to help an employee realize their full potential is through encouragement and appreciation. And I started this by saying, what does that mean for you? It means a healthier bottom line. It means a healthier journey and a happier journey for you and your family, for everyone you touch, your employees and everyone they touch, your community and everyone your community touches. It's a big ripple effect on a very, very big pond. Yes. So thank you for spending extra time with me today. I so appreciate it. I went way over, and but you can see I'm passionate about this because I've experienced it directly for myself, and I'm seeing it in others. And the workshops and the things that I go and do, and the things I read and reinforce within myself to find the most relatable way to express it to you. You don't have to do all of that stuff. Just be here with me now, each and every week. Do the work. It's not as much work as healing from a heart attack or stroke. It's not as much work as building a new business because the last one failed, because you couldn't retain the right kind of talent. You couldn't keep customers happy. It's not as hard of work as going through a divorce. So while it's not a silver bullet, nothing in life is, there's a whole lot of it you can control. There's a whole lot of it that you can create in the way that you need and want it to. And that's my promise to you for living well today. Much love to you. Make sure to check out my words of the week because words matter. Your self-talk and sharing and the way you share your thoughts with your team matters more and more. Bye, friends. Much love. Bye.